Chosen one. There's a public crash-out happening because they couldn't frame you. The evidence shows clearly that you are innocent. Someone who plotted your downfall is now unraveling for the world to see. The documents, the receipts, the conversations, they all reveal that you were the target, not the culprit. This person's rage is really terror. They're watching karma cash in every debt. You've already won spiritually, and now physical proof is aligning. Stay calm, chosen one. Keep your energy grounded. The same crowd that once doubted you is about to witness divine justice in motion and your innocence in full display. Let me tell you who stands against you. This is someone who has been following your success like a predator tracking prey. Your social media has been monitored constantly. Multiple accounts are likely being used. Mutual connections are being questioned about you. Your patterns are being analyzed for weaknesses. This is not casual observation. This is obsessive study. The method resembles someone who lost something valuable and searches every room trying to remember where it was left. Except what was lost is personal success, personal joy, and a fulfilling path. There is an element of twisted learning happening here, not healthy mentorship or genuine curiosity. The study focuses on figuring out the formula for your victories to sabotage them. The burning question for this person is how you keep landing on your feet, how you keep winning, how you keep thriving despite coming from similar circumstances. And the more you are studied, the more frustration builds because no secret can be found. There is no secret. You simply did the work. You healed your wounds, you made different choices, but accepting that simple truth feels impossible for someone stuck in their patterns. Communication energy appears in its shadow form here. Slander enters the picture. Mistruth spread like poison. Passive-aggressive behavior becomes the norm. Online harassment through multiple accounts creates a web of toxicity. Estranged family connections add complexity to this dynamic. This person may share blood with you, or perhaps closeness existed at one point that felt like family, and that makes this betrayal cut deeper. Knowledge about you exists, access to your history was gained, and attempts were made to weaponize that knowledge against you. Your past was meant to destroy your present, but what was not accounted for is how much healing you have done. The version of you that was known no longer exists. You evolved, growth happened. Meanwhile, stagnation took hold elsewhere. Money changed hands with spiritual practitioners. Substantial amounts were paid for specific rituals designed to harm you. The desired outcome was clear. You were meant to lose in legal matters. Financial failure was commissioned. Public humiliation was the goal. So someone was found who promised results. Someone who claimed to have power over spiritual forces. Someone who performed ceremonies designed specifically to bring you down. And payment was made. Real money was invested in your destruction. Money that probably created financial strain. Money that should have gone to legitimate expenses. But the consumption by jealousy and rage was so complete that the investment felt justified. Financial energy appears here with heavy shadow aspects. Debt is present. Stealing has occurred or been attempted. A low moral compass guides decisions around resources and possessions. The belief system operating here suggests that bringing you down would somehow improve another person's financial situation, as if your success blocks prosperity elsewhere, as if eliminating you from the equation would redirect money and opportunities. This is delusional thinking at its core, but jealousy warps reality until lies become truth in a twisted mind. So the practitioner was approached. Details about what was wanted were shared. Pictures of you were probably shown. Information about your life was disclosed, and a ritual was commissioned to destroy your power center, block your energy, and make you lose whatever battle was approaching. The practitioner accepted the payment. The ceremony was performed. Assurances were given that the work was complete, and your attacker went away feeling victorious, feeling like a solution had finally been found. But then nothing happened. Time passed, and not only did nothing bad happen to you, but circumstances started going terribly wrong for the one who commissioned the curse. You carry protection that cannot be seen by ordinary perception. A force field surrounds you. This is not metaphor. This is energetic reality. Spiritual guardians exist around you, beings that operate in dimensions beyond physical sight, and these protectors take their role seriously. When that curse traveled toward you, when those negative intentions were sent your way, your shield activated. The attack was not simply blocked. Everything was sent directly back, reflected and returned to the source with amplified intensity. This point deserves deep understanding, chosen one. That protective field is not random chance. You built it through consistent action. Every time you connect with your inner self and engage in activities that bring authentic joy, the shield strengthens. Every time healing is chosen over resentment, the protection reinforces. Every time you dance, create, walk in nature, or engage in any activity that makes your soul happy, you are fortifying spiritual defenses. Supporting your inner self became a daily practice for you. Both wounded parts and wonderful parts receive your attention. That inner child who lives in your power center has been held and comforted and celebrated by you. Your center of personal power is where joy resides. Boundaries get set from this place. Personal authority emanates from this core, and you have been holding the hand of that vulnerable inner self. Wounded parts have been comforted. Playful parts have been celebrated, and that connection created a level of spiritual protection that no amount of purchased curses can penetrate. The practitioner who was hired probably sensed this truth partway through the ritual. The realization likely dawned that success was not possible, but the payment was already received, so assurances were given anyway. And now someone is standing outside what appears to be an official building, completely losing control, because getting scammed and humiliated happened simultaneously. If this message activated your knowing, hype this video to connect with more chosen ones on this journey. Evidence was meant to be planted on you. This message comes through with absolute clarity. A setup was orchestrated with false testimony. Fabricated documents were created. Situations were manipulated to position blame on you for things you never did. Real effort went into constructing this trap. Confidence was high that everything had been figured out. The belief persisted that you could be framed in a way that would stick permanently. And for a brief moment, perhaps success seemed within reach. Perhaps there was a period when circumstances looked unfavorable for you, when questions were being asked, when suspicion pointed in your direction. But emotional neutrality was maintained by you. Longevity of composure became your strength. You stayed calm. Panic did not take over. The emotional reaction that was expected from you never materialized. You maintained your center, and that composure allowed truth to emerge naturally. Control was released by you. The need to force an outcome dissolved. Trust developed that truth would reveal itself without your interference, and it did. Final judgment energy arrives in your situation. Ultimate truth is being established. Facts are being resurrected from where lies tried to bury them. Evidence is under examination, and every piece points exactly where it should, away from you, toward the one who orchestrated the setup. Every piece of manufactured proof falls apart under scrutiny. Every lie gets contradicted by verifiable facts. Every witness who was supposed to support the false narrative either stays silent or tells the truth instead. And the truth is elegantly simple. You are innocent. Guilt belongs entirely to the one who tried to frame you. Official institutional energy appears strongly here. Legal systems are involved. Traditional structures of justice are engaged. This could involve property matters, housing situations, living arrangements, but more significantly, this touches your foundation as a person. Your base was believed to be broken by your attacker. The assumption was that similar difficult childhoods would produce identical damage. What was not understood is that processing happened differently for you. Healing took a different form. The same experiences were met with different choices about how to respond and grow. Financial independence shows itself clearly in your life. Self-sufficiency has been built. Stability exists because you created it through consistent effort. Celebration of foundation is warranted. Home has been established, whether physical or spiritual. You built something real for yourself, and this gets watched with seething jealousy by someone still trapped in broken family dynamics. Unhealed childhood wounds continue to fester elsewhere. Dysfunction remains unaddressed. The past gets blamed for the present, instead of work being done to break destructive cycles. Emotions are being studied without being felt by the one who attacks you. Clinical analysis replaces genuine processing. Your success gets examined from a detached intellectual position. But success is not purely strategy. Success is energy in motion. Success is the frequency maintained daily. Success is the vibration you naturally operate on. And that cannot be faked. That cannot be studied into existence. That requires becoming something different at a core level. And the personal transformation required gets refused by someone determined to stay stuck in old patterns. Something you need to understand about evidence is how it functions when scrutiny arrives. When someone attempts to frame another person, the story must hold together under examination. Witnesses are needed, who will back up the false version of events. Documentation must support the fabricated claims. A timeline needs to make logical sense, and your attacker believed all of this was in place. Time was spent coordinating the narrative. People agreed to say certain things. What appeared to be an airtight case was constructed. But lies have a fundamental flaw. Eventually, someone breaks under the weight of deception. Eventually, a witness becomes uncomfortable with participating in fraud. Eventually, documentation gets examined by someone trained to spot manipulation. Eventually, the timeline stops making sense because fabrications lack the internal consistency that truth naturally possesses. And this exact unraveling is happening right now. Witnesses are either refusing to testify or changing their statements. Documentation is being revealed as altered or completely fabricated. The timeline collapses under basic questioning. Someone who was supposed to support the false story is now backing away. Perhaps pressure was applied initially to secure participation. Perhaps promises were made in exchange for cooperation. Perhaps threats or manipulation created initial compliance. But now that real consequences appear on the horizon, now that gossip has transformed into actual legal or professional proceedings, second thoughts are taking hold. The realization dawns that lying under oath or in official statements carries serious risks. The spiral into chaos by the primary attacker becomes visible, and distance is being created before association brings everyone down together. Everything leaves a trail. Text messages exist. Emails are stored. Social media posts get archived. Financial transactions are recorded. Location data is tracked. Search histories remain accessible. When someone plots against another person, when coordination of a setup occurs, communication about it must happen somehow. And that communication creates evidence that probably was not considered in the moment because focus was entirely on destroying you. Carelessness about self-protection happened because hatred consumed all attention. Investigators or legal professionals, or even careful observers, are now reviewing that documentation. Messages are being found where plans were discussed. Financial records are being discovered, showing payments to practitioners or other participants in the scheme. Social media activity is being uncovered that contradicts the presented timeline. A picture of premeditated malice is being pieced together, and that picture is absolutely damning. What makes this even more powerful is the burden of proof. You do not have to prove innocence. Guilt must be proven against you. And that proof does not exist, because you did not do what you were accused of doing. So while scrambling happens to manufacture evidence against you, real evidence continues mounting against your accuser. Every text message planning the attack, every payment for spiritual rituals, every conversation coordinating false testimony, every search query about framing someone or planting evidence or manipulating legal proceedings, all of it creates a documentation trail that leads directly to guilt. Remember that professional attire being worn during the public meltdown. That detail matters significantly. This is someone who operates in professional spaces. Reputation maintenance is crucial to this person. Career or business or social standing depends entirely on being seen as credible and trustworthy. And watching that professional image disintegrate is happening in real time. Word spreads quickly in professional communities. People talk, especially when someone has a very public breakdown, especially when that breakdown connects to attempting to frame someone else. Clients start asking uncomfortable questions. Colleagues begin keeping careful distance. Business partners reconsider their associations, professional organizations review membership status, opportunities that were once readily available suddenly close, invitations stop arriving, networks that took years to build begin fracturing under the weight of exposed behavior. Professional life was built on a carefully maintained image, competence, reliability, ethics, trustworthiness, and now that image is being exposed as facade. Realization spreads that this is someone willing to lie, cheat, manipulate, and attack others when feeling threatened or jealous. That is not someone desirable for business relationships. That is not someone wanted in professional networks. That is not someone suitable for representing organizations or brands. So professional consequences are cascading rapidly. And unlike spiritual or emotional consequences, these have very tangible impacts on the ability to earn income and maintain lifestyle. Meanwhile, your professional reputation is being restored and actively enhanced. People who questioned you are now embarrassed about their doubt. People who stayed neutral are now openly supportive. People who always believed in you feel validated in their judgment. And new opportunities are opening specifically because your integrity has been proven publicly. You did not just survive a professional attack. You emerged with reputation stronger than before. That is what happens when truth wins decisively. That is what happens when evidence speaks for itself without need for manipulation. Strong possibility exists that this person shares family connection with you, or existed in family-like closeness. Energy around estranged siblings keeps appearing. Broken family dynamics show themselves repeatedly. Shared childhood experiences create complicated layers, and this adds profound complexity and pain to the entire situation. Because when family betrays you, when someone who knows your history and vulnerabilities weaponizes that knowledge, the wound cuts deeper than any attack from a stranger. But what was not accounted for is your healing from that shared history in ways that were refused elsewhere. You pursued therapy. You committed to inner work. You processed childhood trauma. You broke generational patterns. You became someone fundamentally different from who you were within that family system, and elsewhere stagnation took hold. Operating from the same wounded place that existed years ago continues. The same toxic coping mechanisms are still being deployed. The same victim and villain roles are still being performed. So when attempts were made to paint you as the person you used to be, when old family narratives were used to frame current situations, nothing landed properly. Because people who know you now see someone who has grown and changed and healed significantly. The person being described does not match the person standing in front of them, and that discrepancy makes accusations feel hollow and manipulative rather than credible and concerning. Family dynamics around this situation are undeniably messy. Other family members are probably being pulled into the conflict. Some might be taking sides, some might be attempting to stay neutral, some might be enabling destructive behavior, because that is what the family system has always done. But you are not responsible for managing family dysfunction anymore. You are not responsible for protecting anyone from the consequences of their own actions, just because blood or history is shared. You are allowed to maintain boundaries. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to let others face what was created without intervening to save them from natural consequences. Even though attacks failed, even though evidence proved your innocence, even though you are protected and vindicated, some energetic residue might still be carried from this experience. Being falsely accused leaves an imprint on your field. Being spiritually attacked creates energetic debris. Being targeted by jealous rage affects your system. Even when protection prevents the worst damage, you might notice tiredness that seems disproportionate. You might catch yourself replaying conversations or scenarios mentally. You might feel hypervigilant, watching for the next attack, even though you know success is impossible for your opposition. You might feel anger about what you endured, even while also feeling victorious about the outcome. All of this is normal human processing. All of this is your system working through the experience and releasing what needs to leave. Your power center took the brunt of spiritual attacks. That is where negative intentions were aimed. So that is where healing energy needs focused attention. Place your hand on that area. breathe deeply into that space. Visualize golden light filling your center. Speak affirmations of personal power and healthy boundaries. Do physical activities that engage your core. Wear colors that resonate with strength if that appeals to you. Eat foods that support that energy. Give that part of yourself extra attention and care, as recovery happens from being targeted. And here is what is beautiful about this process. Every time residue gets cleared, every time your energy gets restored, every time your power center gets strengthened, you are not just healing from the attack. You are becoming more powerful than you were before it happened. You are building immunity to future attacks. You are creating energetic strength that makes you even harder to shake. So in a profound way, the attack served your evolution. It forced you to develop protections and strengths you might not have built otherwise. Look, you already know the attacks weren't random, and if you're paying attention you can feel it. Their walls are closing in, so let's talk about what we're doing about it. That's why I built Destiny Engine. It generates personalized sequences that help you rewire betrayal into transcendence, turn isolation into sacred power, and transform their downfall into your rise. We are using the Dark Elite's own weapons against them, taking their declassified consciousness technology that programmed competition and scarcity and repurposing it to serve cooperative intelligence. The beauty is you don't even have to lift a finger. You put on the headphones, press play, and your subconscious is rewired while your enemies collapse under the weight of their own lies. This is why I created it in the beginning, so everything they did to break you becomes fuel for your purpose. The collective upgrade is underway. Start your Destiny Engine for $1 today and watch divine justice accelerate in your life. Link in the description. A specific moment existed when everything changed. A turning point occurred when the setup began to unravel completely. Maybe a key piece of evidence came to light. Maybe a witness refused to participate in lies. Maybe someone in authority started asking the right questions. Maybe inconsistencies in the story became too obvious to ignore. But momentum shifted from working against you to working powerfully for you. You probably felt it energetically before seeing it physically. Sudden relief washed over you. A knowing settled in that things were going to be okay. The heaviness you carried began to lift. That was your spiritual support team and your higher self communicating that the worst had passed. That was confirmation that your protection had successfully neutralized the threat. That was divine reassurance that truth was about to be fully revealed. And then physical evidence started catching up to the energetic knowing. Documents surfaced. Witnesses came forward. Authorities took appropriate action. The false narrative began its complete collapse. And you watched in real time as everything you knew intuitively became provable fact. That alignment between inner knowing and outer reality is profoundly powerful. It confirms that intuition can be trusted absolutely. It validates that spiritual guidance is accurate and reliable. It proves that what you feel energetically is connected to what manifests physically. People exist who are caught in the middle without having asked for involvement. Mutual friends, colleagues, family members, people who know both of you and are trying to navigate without taking sides or getting pulled into drama. These innocent bystanders have been watching everything unfold. Both versions of events have been heard. Evidence has been witnessed as it emerged. The public breakdown was seen, and conclusions are being formed independently. Some of these people probably felt torn initially. Years of relationship might exist with your attacker. Trust might have been given. Accusations might have even been believed at first because the source was considered credible. But as truth came out, as evidence mounted, as behavior became increasingly erratic, uncomfortable reality had to be confronted. Someone trusted was actually lying. Someone believed in was actually manipulative. Someone thought to be known was actually capable of trying to destroy another person's life. That realization is difficult for bystanders to process emotionally. Judgment about themselves gets questioned. Wondering happens about what else might have been lied about. Years of friendship or professional relationship get re-evaluated completely. And many are going through their own version of grief and anger as they come to terms with who this person actually is. You are not responsible for managing emotions about this. But understanding that ripple effects extend beyond just you and your accuser provides helpful perspective. These bystanders are also learning something valuable through watching events unfold. Lessons are being taught that false accusations do not hold up under scrutiny. Understanding develops that truth eventually surfaces no matter how deeply buried. Recognition grows that people who try to destroy others end up destroying themselves. Learning happens to trust evidence over charisma. Skills develop to question narratives that seem designed to manipulate emotion rather than present facts. Your vindication is teaching discernment to everyone paying attention, and that makes you a teacher even though you never asked for that role. Beyond personal and professional consequences, legal ramifications likely exist for someone who attempted to frame you. Depending on specifics of what was done, charges could be faced related to fraud, perjury, harassment, defamation, conspiracy, or other criminal or civil violations. False accusations are not just morally wrong. In many contexts they are explicitly illegal, and discovery is happening that the legal system does not take kindly to people who weaponize it against innocent parties. If court proceedings were involved, if official statements were made under oath, if legal documents were filed, then lying in those contexts carries serious penalties. Perjury is a crime with real consequences. Filing false reports is criminal behavior. Making fraudulent claims in legal proceedings violates fundamental law, and evidence that proved your innocence also proved guilt in attempting to manipulate the legal system. That is why imagery of official buildings keeps appearing. That is why energy of legal judgment is so strong in this situation. The belief existed that the legal system could be used as a weapon against you. The assumption was that officials or authorities would believe the fabricated story and rule accordingly. The expectation was that the weight of official institutions would crush you under false accusations, but legal systems, while imperfect, are designed to uncover truth. Processes exist for examining evidence carefully. Procedures are in place for cross-examining witnesses. Mechanisms exist for detecting fraud and fabrication. And when those mechanisms are applied to these accusations, truth becomes undeniable. On a spiritual level, debt has been accumulated that will need to be paid. You do not need to do anything to make that happen. The universe operates its own accounting system. When someone sends negative energy toward another person, especially toward someone who is protected and actively doing spiritual work, that energy does not simply disappear into the void. It returns to the source multiplied. Karmic consequences are created. A rebalancing process gets initiated that can take extended time to fully play out. Practitioners were paid to curse you. Those curses failed and bounced back. But spiritual debt goes deeper than just immediate failure of attacks. Dark energies were engaged with intentionally. Negative forces were invited into a life. Alignment was created with practitioners who work in harmful ways, and all of that creates attachments and obligations on a spiritual level. Doors may have been opened that cannot easily be closed. Energetic agreements may have been made without full understanding. Vulnerabilities may have been created in spiritual defenses that will cause problems for extended time. Meanwhile, your spiritual balance is clean. Integrity was maintained throughout this entire process. Retaliation with toxic energy did not happen. Engagement in manipulation or deception did not occur. Connection to truth and higher guidance was maintained. So the universe is responding to that alignment by opening doors, providing continued protection, and ensuring your complete vindication. You are receiving spiritual support because spiritual alignment was maintained. That is how natural law functions. A moment is coming, if it has not happened already, where you will have crystal clear clarity about exactly what happened and why. All the pieces will click into place perfectly. All the confusing parts will make complete sense. All the questions will have satisfying answers. You will see the full picture of motivations, methods, mistakes, and inevitable downfall. And in that moment of clarity, something powerful will shift inside you. You will realize you were never actually in danger. You will see how thoroughly you were protected at every single turn. You will understand that even when things looked scary or uncertain, the outcome was never really in doubt. Your innocence was always going to be proven. The scheme was always going to fail. Truth was always going to surface, You were always going to be okay. And that realization will fundamentally shift how you move through the world. That moment of clarity also brings profound peace, not just relief that the ordeal is over, but deep settled peace that comes from knowing who you are and whose you are. You are someone who maintains integrity under immense pressure. You are someone who does inner work even when it is hard. You are someone who trusts truth to prevail even when lies seem louder. You are someone who is divinely protected and spiritually aligned, and knowing that about yourself changes how you show up in every area of life. Remember how this began, with someone in professional attire being held back in public, having the crash out of the century, because you could not be framed, because evidence showed clearly that you are innocent. Now you understand the full scope of what led to that moment. The obsessive monitoring, the spiritual attacks, the purchased curses, the planted evidence, the elaborate setup, and the complete and total failure of every single aspect of the plan. That crash out was not just about frustration or disappointment. It was about cosmic justice manifesting as someone gets hit by their own boomerang. Everything thrown at you came back and hit the source instead. Every curse paid for bounced off your shield and landed on the one who commissioned it. Every lie told got exposed publicly. Every trap set caught the one who set it. And now standing in public view, unable to contain rage, everyone can see what was attempted. Everyone knows who the actual villain is. And here is the powerful part, chosen one. You did not have to fight dirty. You did not have to plot revenge. You did not have to manipulate or scheme or play games. You simply had to be yourself. You simply had to stay connected to your truth. You simply had to keep doing your inner work. You simply had to trust your protection. And the universe handled everything else. That is what happens when you operate from authenticity and integrity. That is what happens when you are divinely protected. That is what happens when you are chosen. So where does this leave you? Standing in your power, vindicated by evidence, protected by forces that cannot be touched or manipulated, free from attacks, clear from accusations, ready to move forward into the abundance already on its way to you. You did not just survive this ordeal. You dominated this situation. Not through aggression but through alignment. Not through fighting but through frequency. Not through revenge but through resonance with truth. Your power center is stronger than ever before. Your boundaries are clearer than they have ever been. Your connection to your inner self is deeper than you knew possible. Your spiritual protection is more powerful than you imagined. And your future is brighter than it has ever looked. Because you cleared away the old patterns. You released what no longer served your highest good. You made space for what is truly meant for you. And now natural flow is returning with force. People who doubted you are going to feel uncomfortable in their skin. People who sided against you are going to have to face their mistake. People who stayed silent are going to deal with their guilt. But none of that is your concern or responsibility. Your concern is the beautiful unfolding happening in your life right now. The doors opening effortlessly. The opportunities appearing synchronistically. The right people arriving at perfect timing. The abundance flowing naturally. That is where your attention belongs. This person who is crashing out publicly is not your enemy in the way you might think. A mirror was provided. Strength of your protection was shown. Real friends were revealed. Deeper healing work was required. Trust in spiritual backing was demanded. And a testimony was created that will help others who face similar attacks. In the most twisted way possible, your evolution was served by this challenge. But that does not mean anything is owed. No forgiveness is required. No second chances need to be given. No reconciliation is necessary. Choices were made, actions were taken, and now consequences are being faced. That is between the attacker and the universe. Your job is to keep moving forward with purpose. Keep choosing joy in small moments. Keep nurturing your inner self. Keep speaking your truth. Keep trusting your protection. Keep building your life according to your authentic vision. Evidence showed clearly that you are innocent. But more than that, evidence showed you are powerful beyond measure. Evidence showed you are protected by forces greater than any human scheme. Evidence showed your truth is more powerful than any lie. Evidence showed your authentic path is more secure than any manipulated outcome. And evidence showed that when you stay aligned with your highest self, the universe moves mountains to support you. This is your victory, chosen one. Not because you need to gloat, not because rubbing anything in faces serves you, but because you earned this moment of celebration. You stayed true to yourself through an attack that would have broken most people. You maintained your integrity when compromise would have been easier. You trusted the invisible when visible circumstances looked dark. You kept faith when doubt would have been justified. That deserves acknowledgement. That deserves celebration. That deserves recognition. And the universe is giving you exactly that, through evidence that vindicates you completely, through the public crash out of your attacker, through doors opening in your life, through abundance flowing your way, through right people being drawn to you, through surprises coming that will feel like gifts, through every single confirmation that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. So take a moment right now, breathe it in deeply, feel the weight lifting off your shoulders, feel the freedom of being cleared completely, feel the power of knowing you are protected, feel the joy of moving forward unencumbered by false accusations. This is what victory feels like. Not loud, not aggressive, but solid, certain, unshakable. This is what happens when truth rises to the surface. This is what happens when divine justice operates. This is what happens when chosen ones stand firm in their truth. So, chosen one, step forward with absolute confidence. Evidence showed clearly that you are innocent, but more importantly, evidence showed that you are unstoppable when you walk in your truth. Evidence showed that you are protected by forces greater than any human scheme. Evidence showed that your truth is more powerful than any lie ever told about you. Evidence showed that your authentic path is more secure than any manipulated outcome. And evidence showed that when you stay aligned with your highest self, the universe moves mountains to support you. Your attacker had a public crash out because framing you was impossible. Evidence proved your innocence beyond any doubt. Divine justice prevailed in ways that cannot be denied. And now you get to live in the freedom and power and abundance that comes from being vindicated, protected, and chosen. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of your greatest chapter. Walk into it knowing you are untouchable when you operate from truth. Walk into it knowing you are supported by forces beyond physical sight. Walk into it knowing you are exactly where you are meant to be. The victory is yours, chosen one. Now go claim everything that comes with it.